Welcome and thank you for attending the Secure Networks Made Easy webinar, the first of the series. My name is Kenneth Hunter and I'm a Regional Sales Manager at InHand Networks. I ask that you please hold all questions until the end. So let's get started. First, we're going to talk about the challenges of remote networking. One of the huge dilemmas of today is that the IT industry is requiring more and more security. I mean, pretty much, with increase in attacks and a focus on IoT devices specifically, a prime example would be the public static IPs. It's been getting more pushed away due to the fact that, more malware, more attacks are targeting public static IP addresses, particularly going after IoT devices rather than your typical internet user. And with that, in this dilemma, as you increase your security for your network, it increases the level of complexity. So, as you add those required security features, you start to have to ask questions about, how do I configure all the network devices? How am I going to manage all the different security features and functions? Am I going to need to hire a new staff of IT professionals to actually, manage the security side of it, to manage my remote network connections? Or am I going to have to look at either building or paying to use a network operations center? And this is where InHand comes in to kind of help out with that. What InHand Networks is going to do is we're going to be providing a way for customers to ensure they have good security and at the same time not increase that complexity for the customer. We're going to manage that. We'll handle the complexity and then you get to reap the benefits of the security. We're going to do this through pre-configuring, having a plug-and-play setup as far as for your VPN, for your security features, simple and direct access. So we're going to provide a virtual local network. And this is compatible with most devices. That way, all your end devices are on the same local network, even though they're in remote sites. And then we'll do the pre-configuration for the advanced data security. And also, we want to help with kind of a one-stop shopping for hardware, service, and data plan. Because when you want to get into having better security, the customer has to look at, what type of hardware I need, and then what type of service, how I get my connectivity, how can I integrate it all together. And we're going to try to take care of that for the customer and handle that part. So the basics of our secure remote network is VPN technology. And we pick VPN technology just for the fact that it's an industry standard. It's proven, it's tried, it's true. Whenever you make purchases on the web, whenever you go to sites that use SSL or TLS, it is the most mainstream and standard security feature. So what we're doing is we'll be using OpenVPN. And the three key components of this that give you that security is confidentiality. So that way, only the correct personnel will be able to read the data being transmitted. Integrity, so that way you can ensure that your data is not being altered. And then your authentication, to ensure that only the correct personnel with the correct authority have the ability to access the network and also devices. InHand's providing three particular solutions for secure networks. The first one is small-scale pre-configured hardware. And that's what we'll be discussing today in the webinar. And this covers between 1 to 20 VPN connections. The next and following webinar will cover middle scale hosted VPN service. And this is looking at, anything above 20 to 200 or 300 VPN connections. And then finally, there's the specialized network center, which is focused around, large scale enterprise grade networks where typically you're going to have many VPNs. And there's going to be a whole IT staff dedicated to maintaining the security. So this is more of a customized. So as far as InHand's solution for small scale, it's comprised of three key components. The first is a VPN server. And the OpenVPN server will be hosted on our InRouter 900 series. And this will provide the actual VPN server. Now, for that, you'll need a public dynamic address. Now, not a public static, because that is, that causes issues with security, but a public dynamic. And then that address is going to be actually logged in with a DDNS service. And then the third part will be the actual VPN clients. And the clients will be able to reach out to the DDNS with the domain, and then it will be able to actually, give the correct address for the VPN server. And the VPN server will then establish the actual VPN connection. And for the clients, you can use the IR900 series, the IR600 series, or the Intelligent Gateway 601. And this will support roughly 10 to 20 connections. So pretty easy, simple solution with good security. Now, the beauty of this is it's a transparent architecture. So what that means is that as far as for the operator, the user, the organization, all your devices will, in essence, be on the same local network. And that'll provide you the ability to do everything as though the devices were plugged in locally in your office. InHand is going to manage all the VPN and the complexity in that. So all you need to know is that to access your devices, you just use it as though it was on a local area network. And this extends more than just the user logging into a workstation, but also all these devices, because they're on a local area network, they'll be able to access each other peer-to-peer. So if you had a pump station at 168.0.11 and you had a tank at .12, they would be able to communicate back and forth to each other. So if the tank gets low, the program could send out and tell the pump to stop or to cease its activities. And also you'll have the ability where you can access, different functions and features, such as, a web server built in on a PLC to pull in all that data. And this is compatible with most applications because it's just dealing with that local area network. Now, from InHand's side, we're going to be making it as close to plug and play as possible, which means as far as your VPN, your certificates, your DDNS, and all the configurations and maintenance and upkeep, we're going to take care of that. So everything within the dashed line for this square will be covered by InHand. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be some things that the customer and organization will have to do anyway, such as configure your end devices and set up your default gateway, which the customer will be doing that anyway, such as, programming the local address for your PLC or your HMI. And then also the customer will need to obtain a public dynamic address from their internet service provider. And this will allow us to set up the DDNS. The last part of it will be configure your IR900 VPN server for external internet access. So if you're doing LAN or Wi-Fi, some type of local access to get your WAN, then you'll have to do the configuration so it'll match the subnet and the network to gain access to the internet. And for larger scale companies or for instances where there's a very tight firewall, you will need to coordinate with your IT department. However, if you want to bypass that, you can also set up the VPN server on a cellular router rather than LAN or Wi-Fi. And in this case, you don't have to deal with the IT network or that initial configuration. That will be handled by InHand. The only downside to that is, depending on the number of VPN connections you have in your data flow, all those VPNs will be feeding back to the server. So you can experience higher data flow. And we'd be more than happy to work with you on that. Also, a very popular feature that a lot of customers and people have been asking about in the market is, access with their mobile phone. So if you want to take your mobile phone and kind of like I said before, access that web server within your PLC, this is going to give you access to do that. All you have to do is download an OpenVPN client, and InHand can recommend some good clients for that. Then we can send you the configuration or support you to help get it set up. Now, I mentioned earlier about the one-stop shop, and that's where we're getting into kind of the bundling and packaging, especially in the United States. This way you can pick out and define, get your VPN server. So pick your IR900 series and whether you want, LAN or Wi-Fi, or you want to have that cellular access to the internet, you can do that. And then defining your actual VPN client gateways, such as an IR12 or an IG601 or an IR615. And then, we also are a reseller of data plans. So if you want to go ahead and have your Verizon Wireless or AT&T SIM card ready with the data plan picked out, you can just get it and plug the SIM card in and be done. And then last but not least, we'll have the InHand service account. And this is going to allow us to, keep and maintain the different VPN accounts and the DDNS services and device manager. For the ordering process, it's pretty simple. If you're an end user, you'll go through your distributor. Or if you're a distributor, you'll go through InHand. And you'll send us in specifying that you want the InHand secure network solution. And you'll define your IR900 series server, what type you want, the number of remote sites, and the part number for those, VPN gateways. Also, you can define your cellular data plan, such as Verizon, AT&T, and the data amount. And if you're outside the United States, it's still good to list the preferred carrier, so that way we can make sure that you get the correct model number to work in that country on their service. And then, of course, request InHand service account to be created, and then we'll send that information to you. And if you want to order or add new sites to an already created, secure network solution, then you just send us in the number of new remote sites, the part number for those remote routers, pick your data plan, and then you can also do, you got to list your InHand service account so we can make sure it's all synchronized on the same local network. And InHand will be providing documentation such as the IP addresses and the default gateway that needs to be assigned for the remote sites. So that way you can make sure that your local network matches up with the VPN's local network so everything can talk and communicate. We'll also be providing technical details, configurations, reference guides. So that way, you can track everything that's going on, or if you need support, you'll have reference and documentation. But don't let that stop you from contacting us anytime for support. Next, we're going to go into and talk about the key hardware component of this solution, and that's the InRouter 900. This is an industrial LTE router. You can get it with or without cellular, and it's a global product. It's got certifications for many different countries, many different carriers, and if you want to deploy units and have some of your VPN solution in, say, Italy or in Brazil, and then others in the United States and Canada, it's not an issue. And we can still connect it all together on the same local area network. So the 900 is required to be the VPN server, at least for the small scale solution. It has a lot of different features. It's an industrial grade product with industrial spec. It's got different options that you can pick from between your LTE, your LAN, your Wi-Fi for your connectivity, multiple Ethernet ports, and you can do different subnets on each Ethernet. You have the option for serial ports such as RS-232 and 45. You can choose an I/O or a GPS option to add on. Just depends on what you need. It's got advanced dynamic routing functions such as OSPF and RIP, so that way you don't have to go through and statically assign all your routes in your routing table. As the VPN and data security covers a lot of different features, includes AAA authentication, GRE, layer 2 tunneling protocol, and so forth and so on. But for this particular solution, we're going to focus on OpenVPN. High reliability and redundancy. You get link detection and recovery, and this isn't just for your network communications, but also for your VPN connection. So that way it can identify when there's an issue, shut it down, and reboot the VPN. So you get to keep that connectivity. Also, there's Python programming, so if you want to add custom applications, it's an open API. You can program it to do things that the router doesn't traditionally come with. It's also Microsoft Azure IoT certified product. So, we can help you interface in with other IoT platforms. And of course, remote network management, SNMP version 3, and then our own device manager, which is an excellent cloud platform for managing large number of network devices. So I'll kind of close out here with a little bit extra about our company, who we are and what we do. So for those who aren't too familiar with InHand, you can kind of get an idea of who we are. So we've been doing industrial IoT products and end-to-end products for the last 16 years. We've been supplying solutions and hardware and products for a lot of big customers like GE Healthcare was one of our first big customers, China State Grid, a lot of partners, and we'll touch on that a little later. We do over 200,000 IoT gateways, industrial cellular routers, and modems a year. And we're heavily R&D focused. So we have over 100 highly skilled R&D engineers. A good percentage of those have doctorate degrees. All of our products are based off of our own original R&D, so we're not outsourcing design and development. And then we also have a very well-established supply chain and good quality control. Now, the future of our company is more expanding from selling hardware to providing platforms with hardware or full end-to-end solutions. And where I expect to see InHand in the next few years is we'll be doing a lot more in integrating advanced sensing and data analytics. So kind of expanding on that that IoT moving into the machine learning and the AI side of things. And we've had a very strong and healthy growth over the last few years. As far as our product portfolio, we have IoT products such as industrial cellular routers, modems, industrial switches. We also do a lot of different cloud platforms. We can also do custom cloud platforms and build them for the customers. And we also do end-to-end solutions where we cover everything. And of course, we're proven by many world-class partners, real high-profile customers, partners, people that we've worked with in the past, such as ABB, Eon, Schneider, Rockwell. We've done a lot with Philips, GE Healthcare, and many other international partners. So I would say that we're definitely tried and true, and we highly value our customers and then our partnerships. So I'd like to thank you again for joining our webinar to discuss the small scale pre-configured devices for your remote networking. And I definitely encourage you to join in on our mid-scale hosted VPN services for VPNs ranging, over 20 to 200-300. So thank you again, and I look forward to seeing you in our next video.